Dr. Saab, just changing gears a little bit, because I want to come back to what she talked about before the break, which was the new security order. That's the term you use. So let's talk a bit about that. I know it's a bit too early, but actually it's not. I think the shape, we can see the contours of the shape
emerging. Yeah.
So what does that new security order look like at this stage?
I think let's try to trace the trends by clearly identifying the trends, the sentiments. The street sentiment in Tehran is also that of happiness. You can see the visuals. And I share your contrasting assessment of the government and street sentiment in the US. The government is declaring victory, but the people expect peace to be sustainable. There is a sigh of relief in the Arab sentiment. There is a sentiment of pride in Pakistan.
Yes.
Now there is a concern in India, and there is anger in Tel Aviv, which indicates, and actually their escalation in the last 48 hours gives a compelling evidence that they are fearing that a peace can be enduring and they can be isolated. So they are bidding their time and they want to make whatever gains they want to make as quickly as possible, as much damage as they can inflict on Hezbollah, as much territory that they can capture, as many resettlements they can establish in West Bank as quickly as possible. So their desperation is also a sign that they are conscious of being isolated.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world, which 4 days ago was holding its breath and expecting the Arabs to join the war against Iran, are now unanimous in condemning Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
So they are actually geopolitically isolated. Now what has happened. Now I can predict that clearly in the foreseeable future, by carrying on hostilities and escalating it against Lebanon, when everybody else, including President Trump, is calling for peace, has shot themselves in the foot in the immediate progress on the Abraham Accord. So their normalization has become very difficult, more difficult within the Arab world.
That project is shelved for now.
For the time being.
Yeah.
Secondly, after this war, despite taking a huge hit and damage, Iran has repaired the imbalance of power in the Middle East. Because in the last 2-3 years it was isolated, it was becoming irrelevant, all its sympathetic parties and proxies were badly dented.
Yeah.
Now it has revived its status by just sitting across the table with Washington, that I am someone that US, after attacking, is willing to sit down and talk and offer concessions and show some flexibility. So their status has also risen geopolitically. So I think there will be a more recalibration of balance of power within the Arab world. With Israel will be downgraded. Arabs will have a declining sense of security from Washington, and they might, just like Western Europe, try to improve their relations with Iran.
Junaida, I don't want to go into, like, for example, who's going to be, and then I'm coming to you, who's going to be the net loser or winner. Let's not go there right now. But what we can talk about is what we can expect in terms of how geopolitical dynamics will change, how economics will change, how perceptions will change, how, for example, power arrangements will change. So clearly there is a change which is going to happen, not just in the Middle East and Gulf region, but the ripple effect is going to go everywhere. So in your opinion, what are some of the most obvious changes that we can see that are likely to take place?
Well, although this has been included in Iran's demands, that the demilitarization of the Gulf states by US, whether we take it in that context or not, but Middle East would have to rethink their security guarantees coming from Washington. At least in the tangible ways, the way they have taken the hit, that would make them think in a different direction. I don't know how and when. It would take time. It's not that easy to
Although
happen.
I don't think the US is going to withdraw from the...
It's not easy, yeah.
That's not going to happen overnight.
But I think maybe they can diversify their security guarantees in a way that the Saudi Arabia has done, like, having a pact with Pakistan, so other countries also want to join. So maybe that is a way that, okay, you stay here, but we have other stakeholders as well.
So Pakistan's security footprint increases. I'm going to ask you on that. Our role as a security provider could increase in that region.
Well, not security provider. I think we are becoming that deterring force in Middle East, where the net stability provider, China and we together can make a difference. This is how I look at it. Because altogether expecting from US to withdraw from their bases, that's not going to happen. But of course there is going to be a transition in the thinking, because I was listening to a Saudi analyst who was saying that whenever GCC countries are talking to Washington, they're not talking as one coherent voice. And that is the problem. So once we start talking in a one coherent voice, they would have to listen to us in a different way. So even they are evolving.
And